Have you ever pondered, my dear friends, what could bring tears to the eyes of darkness itself? What force, what truth, could stir the heart of evil to tremble and weep? Evil, as we know, cloaks itself in pride and power, yet there are moments when even it must face a mirror it cannot shatter. Today, I invite you to walk with me through a tale not of despair, but of hope, a tale where light dares to shine where shadows reign. This is a story of redemption, of hearts transformed, and of a truth so radiant that even the darkest soul cannot turn away. Our journey begins in a forest, ancient and silent, where the air is thick with secrets. The trees stand as witnesses to ages past, their branches whispering of battles fought between light and shadow. 3 travelers step forward, their faces etched with resolve, yet their hearts heavy with questions. They are not warriors clad in armor, nor kings adorned with crowns, but ordinary souls called to an extraordinary task. Each carries a spark within, a spark of faith, fragile yet unbroken. As they walk, the path grows narrow, and the shadows deepen. The wind carries a chill that speaks of something watching, waiting. Do you feel it? One asks, her voice steady but soft. It is as though the darkness itself is alive. Another replies, clutching a small pendant, a symbol of hope from a time long forgotten. The third, the eldest, pauses and looks to the sky, where a single star pierces the canopy above. Fear not, he says, for even in the deepest night, the light has never abandoned us. Their steps lead them to a village, or what remains of it. Houses lie in ruin, their walls scorched by a fire that was not of this world. The silence is heavy, broken only by the faint cry of a child in the distance. They follow the sound, their hearts pounding, and find her. A small girl alone, her eyes wide with a sorrow too great for her years. Who did this? One traveler asks, kneeling beside her. The girl points to the horizon, where a shadow looms, vast and unyielding. It came, she whispers, and it took everything. The travelers exchange glances, their purpose now clear. This shadow, this darkness, is no mere force. It is a presence, ancient and cunning, that seeks to smother all that is good. Yet they know, as the prophet Isaiah foretold, the people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. This light, they believe, is not far off. It is within them, waiting to be kindled. We must go on, the eldest says, his voice firm yet gentle. For her, for all who suffer, we must face what lies ahead. Face the challenge. The path grows steeper, winding through jagged cliffs where the wind howls like a chorus of lost souls. Each step tests their courage, for the air grows colder, and the presence of evil draws nearer. They speak little now, their thoughts turned inward, wrestling with doubts that whisper in the silence. What can 3 frail souls do against a force that has laid waste to villages? Yet, as the psalmist sang, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. At dusk, they reach a clearing, where a stranger stands waiting. His robes are worn, his face lined with the weight of many years, yet his eyes burn with a quiet fire. You seek the shadow, he says, his voice low but resonant. But know this, what you face is not merely evil. It is a mirror of the heart's deepest fears. The travelers listen, their breath catching as he continues. To conquer it, you must first conquer yourselves. Let not fear rule you, for it is the weapon of darkness. He leads them to a temple, ancient and forgotten, its stones carved with symbols of a faith older than memory. Inside, the air is still, and a soft light glows from an altar at the center. Upon it rests a book, its leather cover worn but intact, its pages humming with a power that makes the heart tremble. This is the book of truth, the stranger says. It holds the prophecies of redemption, but only those who dare to seek will understand its words. The youngest traveler steps forward, her hand trembling as she opens the book. The pages seem to shimmer, and words appear as if written by an unseen hand. "Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted," she reads aloud, her voice echoing in the stillness. The words settle over them like a balm, and for a moment, the weight of their task feels lighter. But the stranger's gaze hardens. These words are not mere comfort, he warns. They are a call to action, a challenge to face what lies ahead with hearts unafraid. As they leave the temple, the ground trembles and a shadow rises before them, not a form, but a presence vast and suffocating. It speaks, its voice a hiss that coils around their hearts. "Why do you come?" it demands. "Do you think your frail light can pierce my dominion?" The eldest traveler steps forward, his voice steady as he replies, "We come not to destroy, but to offer a choice, even to you." The shadow laughs, a sound that shakes the earth, but the travelers stand firm, their faith a shield against despair. The shadow looms larger, its laughter fading into a silence that presses against the soul. Yet the travelers do not falter, for they carry within them a truth stronger than fear. "We know who you are," the youngest says, her voice clear as a bell in the stillness. "You are the sorrow that destroys, the pride that blinds, but even you are not beyond hope." The shadow recoils as if her words were a flame touching its core. "Do you dare to speak of hope to me?" it hisses, its form shifting like smoke. "I am eternal, unbound by your frail dreams. What can you offer that I have not already crushed?" The eldest traveler steps closer, his eyes alight with a calm that unsettles the darkness. "We offer you a choice," he says, as the Father offers to all his children to turn from destruction and seek the light. The shadow's form twists, and for a moment it seems almost human, vulnerable, uncertain. But then it surges forward, a wave of cold that threatens to swallow them whole. The travelers clasp hands, their voices rising as one in a prayer older than the stars. "Lord, make me an instrument of your peace," they chant, their words weaving a shield of light around them. The shadow hesitates, its edges fraying as the light grows brighter, piercing its form like arrows of dawn. It roars, a sound of anguish and defiance, and then it flees, dissolving into the night. The travelers stand breathless, their hearts pounding with the weight of what has passed. "We did not defeat it," the eldest murmurs, "but we have shown it something it cannot yet understand." The girl, who has followed them silently, tugs at the youngest's sleeve. "Will it come back?" she asks, her eyes searching for truth. The youngest kneels, her voice gentle yet firm. "It may, little one. But so will we, and the light we carry will never fade." Prophecy and preparation. They press on, guided by the words of the Book of Truth, which now rests in the youngest's hands. Each page turned reveals more of the prophecy, a tale of a heart that must break before it can mend, of a darkness that must weep before it can see. "Behold, I make all things new," the eldest reads aloud, his voice trembling with awe. These words, they know, are not mere promise but a call to act, to be the vessels of a love that transforms. The path leads them to another village, this one untouched by fire but cloaked in fear. The people huddle in their homes, their faces pale as they speak of the shadow that haunts their dreams. "It watches us," an old woman whispers, her hands clutching a rosary. "It knows our weaknesses and feeds on our despair." The travelers listen, their hearts heavy with the pain of those before them. "We have seen it," the eldest says, "and we believe it can be changed, not by force, but by truth." A man steps forward, his eyes sharp with doubt. "Truth," he scoffs. "What truth can stand against a force that devours all hope?" The youngest opens the book, her fingers tracing the words as she reads. "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." The man falls silent, his skepticism wavering as the words settle over the crowd like a gentle rain. "We will face it with you," the eldest says. "But you must choose to stand with us, to believe that love is stronger than fear." That night, the travelers gather the villagers in the square, where a fire burns bright against the chill. They speak of forgiveness, of the power that lies in offering mercy even to those who seem beyond it. As the Lord forgave those who crucified him, the eldest says, so too must we forgive, for it is forgiveness that breaks the chains of hatred. The villagers listen, some weeping, others nodding, their hearts stirred by a hope they had thought lost. Journey to the heart of darkness. Dawn breaks, and the travelers set out once more, now joined by a small band of villagers who have chosen to walk with them. The path grows treacherous, winding through caverns where the air is thick with the scent of ash. They feel the shadow's presence growing stronger, its whispers clawing at their minds. "You are fools," it murmurs, its voice like a blade. "Your light will fade, and I will remain." But the travelers do not waver. They sing as they walk, their voices rising in a hymn of praise that echoes off the stone walls. Though the fig tree does not blossom, nor fruit be on the vines, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. They proclaim, their words a defiance of despair. The villagers join them, their voices trembling at first but growing stronger with each step. The shadow's whispers falter, unable to pierce the harmony of their faith. At last, they reach a vast chamber, its ceiling lost in darkness, its floor marked with symbols that pulse with an ancient power. Here, the shadow waits, not as a formless cloud, but as a figure cloaked in black, its eyes burning with a fire that is both cruel and sorrowful. "You have come far," it says, its voice no longer a hiss but a lament. "But you cannot change what I am. I am the pain of the world, the anger of the forsaken." The eldest steps forward, his hands open, unarmed. "You are more than pain," he says, his voice steady as a rock. "You are a soul, wounded and lost, but not beyond the reach of grace." The figure laughs, but there is no joy in it, only a hollow ache that fills the chamber. "Grace?" it spits. "What grace is there for one who has sown only suffering?" The youngest opens the book once more, her voice rising as she reads, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." The figure flinches, its form wavering as if struck. The villagers step forward, their faces alight with a courage born of unity. "We forgive you," they say, one by one, their voices weaving a tapestry of mercy that fills the chamber with light. The figure staggers, its eyes wide with something new, something it has never known. The light in the chamber grows brighter, a radiance born not of fire but of hearts united in compassion. The figure, once towering and unyielding, now shrinks, its form trembling as the voices of forgiveness echo around it. "You cannot mean this," it whispers, its voice breaking like brittle stone. "I have torn your homes asunder, stolen your peace. Why do you offer me mercy?" The eldest traveler kneels, his eyes meeting the figures with a gentleness that pierces deeper than any sword. "Because mercy is not earned," he says, "but given freely, as the Father gives to all who turn to him." He gestures to the villagers, their faces alight with tears and resolve. "These people have suffered at your hand, yet they choose to forgive, not because you deserve it, but because they believe in a love that heals all wounds." The youngest steps forward, the book of truth open in her hands. Her voice is soft, yet it carries the weight of 1,000 prayers. "I have loved you with an everlasting love," she reads, "and with love I draw you near." The figure clutches its chest as if the words burn within it, unraveling the chains of its ancient pride. For the first time, its eyes soften and a single tear, dark as night, falls to the ground. The villagers gasp, their hands clasped in awe. "How can this be?" one whispers. "Even the darkness weeps?" The girl, who has stood silently among them, steps forward, her small hand reaching out. "Don't be afraid," she says, her voice pure as a stream. "Even you can be loved." The figure stares at her, its form flickering between shadow and something almost human. "No one has ever spoken to me thus," it murmurs, its voice thick with the sorrow long buried. The light swells, and the chamber seems to expand as if the boundaries of the world itself are shifting. The eldest rises, his voice steady yet filled with wonder. "This is the moment foretold," he says, "when darkness must face the truth of its own heart." He turns to the figure, his hands outstretched. "You are not condemned to be what you have been." The choice is yours to remain in shadow or to step into the light. The figure hesitates, its tear-streaked face caught between defiance and longing. I have known only power, it says, only the thrill of bending others to my will. What is this light you offer? What does it demand? The youngest closes the book, her smile radiant with hope. It demands nothing, she says, but invites everything. It asks only that you let go of hatred and embrace the peace that waits for you. A silence falls, heavy with the weight of eternity. The figure's form begins to shimmer, its edges dissolving like mist before the dawn. I have feared this moment, it confesses, its voice no longer a weapon but a plea. To be seen, to be known, what if I am unworthy? The eldest places a hand on its shoulder, a gesture so simple yet so profound that the chamber itself seems to hold its breath. None are unworthy in the eyes of love, he says. For as the Apostle Paul wrote, while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. The figure falls to its knees, its tears now flowing freely, each one catching the light like a prism. I have caused pain, it says, and yet you stand here, offering me a place I thought lost forever. The villagers step closer, their voices rising in a chorus of grace. We forgive you, they say again, their words a melody that fills the air with warmth. The girl takes the figure's hand, her touch a bridge between worlds. Come with us, she whispers. Let us show you the way. And then a miracle unfolds. The figure's darkness begins to fade, replaced by a glow that pulses with life. Its face, once a mask of torment, now bears the traces of peace, as if a long-forgotten joy has been awakened. I see it, it says, its voice trembling with wonder. I see the light not as a foe, but as a home. The chamber erupts in radiance, a brilliance so pure that it banishes every shadow, every doubt. The travelers and villagers stand together, their hearts united in a joy that words cannot contain. This is the power of forgiveness, the eldest says, his eyes shining with tears. Not to destroy, but to restore, not to condemn, but to redeem. The youngest lifts the book of truth, its pages now blank, as if its purpose has been fulfilled. The prophecy is complete, she says, but the story continues in us, in all who choose love over hatred. The chamber fades and the travelers find themselves beneath an open sky where stars burn bright against the night. The figure, now transformed, stands among them not as a shadow but as a soul reborn. I was lost, it says, its voice clear and whole. But you showed me that even the darkest heart can find its way. The villagers embrace it, their laughter mingling with tears, a testament to the miracle they have witnessed. The eldest looks to the horizon where dawn is breaking, its golden light spilling over the earth. This is not the end, he says, but a beginning. The light we carry must now go forth to touch every heart, every corner of this world. The youngest takes the girl's hand, her smile a promise of hope unbroken. We will walk together, she says, and wherever darkness lingers, we will bring the truth that makes it weep, not in sorrow, but in joy. They step forward, their path illuminated by a radiance that comes not from above, but from within. The transformed soul walks beside them, its steps light, its heart free. I will tell others, it says, of the mercy that found me, of the love that changed me. The villagers nod, their faces alight with purpose. We too will carry this light, they say, for we have seen what forgiveness can do. The dawn grows brighter, painting the sky with hues of gold and rose, as if creation itself rejoices in what has come to pass. The travelers, the villagers, and the soul once cloaked in shadow walk together, their steps united by a purpose that transcends them all. See how the light touches everything, the youngest says, her eyes wide with wonder. It is not ours to keep, but to share, to carry into every heart that hungers for hope. They pass through fields where the earth, once scorched, now stirs with new life. Flowers bloom where ashes fell, their petals a silent hymn to renewal. Look, the girl whispers, pointing to a sprout breaking through the soil. Even here, life begins again. The transformed soul kneels beside it, its fingers brushing the fragile green with reverence. I was like this earth, it says, barren and broken, yet love has made me whole. The eldest pauses, his gaze sweeping over the group, now grown into a small multitude. My friends, he says, his voice warm as the rising sun, what we have witnessed is not for us alone. It is a call to go forth, to be beacons in a world that knows too much darkness. He lifts his hands as if embracing the sky itself. As the Lord said, you are the light of the world. Let your light shine, not to boast, but to draw others to the truth that heals. A villager, once trembling with fear, steps forward, his voice steady now. I was afraid, he confesses, afraid to lose what little I had. But now I see true strength lies not in holding tightly, but in giving freely as you have given to us. Another joins him, her eyes bright with tears. I thought forgiveness was weakness, she says, but it has built a bridge where only walls stood before. The transformed soul nods, its face radiant with understanding. And I, who knew only destruction, have learned that forgiveness is the fire that purifies without consuming. They reach a crossroads where paths diverge into the unknown. Each road is shadowed, yet none seem daunting, for the light they carry casts out fear. Where shall we go? The girl asks, her voice eager yet trusting. The youngest kneels beside her, her smile a reflection of the dawn. Everywhere, she says. To the broken, to the lost, to those who believe they are beyond saving. We will go, and we will bring the light that made even darkness weep. As they stand at the crossroads, a breeze stirs, gentle yet alive, as if carrying the breath of the Spirit. The eldest closes his eyes, his voice rising like a prayer that binds them all. Blessed are the merciful, he says, for they shall receive mercy. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. The words settle over them, a mantle of courage for the journey ahead. Let us be these blessings, he continues, not in words alone, but in every act, every choice, every moment we are given. The transformed soul steps forward, its presence no longer heavy but luminous, a testament to grace. I was your enemy, it says, yet you called me friend. I was a storm, yet you offered me shelter. Now I too will walk this path not to atone, but to share the love that found me. Its words ripple through the crowd, stirring hearts to a resolve deeper than stone. We are all changed, a villager murmurs, and together we will change others. The youngest opens her arms, as if to embrace the world itself. This light is not ours to hoard, she says, her voice clear as a bell. It is a gift, given to us that we might give it to others. Wherever there is sorrow, we will bring comfort. Wherever there is hatred, we will sow love. The girl tugs at her sleeve, her eyes shining with a wisdom beyond her years. And what if we meet darkness again? She asks. The youngest smiles, her hand resting on the girl's shoulder. Then we will forgive it, she says, and show it the way home. The group begins to move, some taking one path, others another, yet all bound by a single truth. The transformed soul walks beside the eldest, its steps light as a child's. I never knew, it says, that love could be so vast, so patient, so unafraid. The eldest nods, his eyes fixed on the horizon. It is the love that moved the stars, he says, and it will move the hearts of all who seek it. Days turn to weeks, and the travelers' paths weave through villages and cities, forests and plains. Wherever they go, they speak of what they have seen, of a darkness that wept, of a light that prevailed, of a love that knows no end. People listen, their faces alight with wonder, their hearts stirred by a hope they had thought lost. We heard of your journey, a woman says, her hands clasped in gratitude. You have shown us that no one is beyond redemption. In a town by the sea, a man once hardened by anger lays down his sword. I wanted vengeance, he says, but your story has taught me that only forgiveness can heal. In a desert, a child shares her bread with a stranger, her smile echoing the girls from the forest. I want to be like them, she says, to carry light wherever I go. And in a city of stone, a leader bows his head, his voice trembling as he speaks. We built walls to keep out fear, he says, but you have shown us that love is the only true defense. The eldest, the youngest, the girl, and the transformed soul stand together one evening, watching the stars. Do you think it will last? The girl asks, her voice soft against the night. The youngest takes her hand, her eyes reflecting the heavens above. The light will last, she says, as long as there are hearts willing to carry it. The transformed soul gazes upward, its face a canvas of peace. And I will carry it, it says, for I know now what it means to be found. The eldest raises his hands, his voice a benediction that echoes across the ages. Go forth, my friends, and be the light in the darkness. Be the hope for the hopeless, the mercy for the broken. For in your hands lies the power to change the world, not through might, but through love. They stand in silence, their hearts full, their spirits one. The stars shine brighter, as if heaven itself bears witness to the truth they have lived. The stars fade as dawn approaches, and the travelers continue their journey, their steps lighter yet filled with purpose. They walk through valleys where the wind carries the scent of new beginnings, and over hills where the sun warms the earth with promise. See how the world responds, the youngest says, her voice bright with awe. Wherever we go, hearts awaken, as if they have been waiting for this moment. In a village nestled by a river, they meet a woman weaving a tapestry, her fingers threading stories of sorrow and redemption. Your tale has reached us, she says, her eyes glistening. It has taught us that even the deepest wounds can mend when we choose to forgive. She holds up her work, its colors vibrant with scenes of light-piercing shadow. This is for you, she says, to remind you that your story lives in us all. The transformed soul takes the tapestry, its hands trembling with gratitude. I was the shadow in your threads, it says, yet now I am woven into your hope. How can I ever repay such grace? The woman smiles, her touch gentle as she replies, you repay it by living as you do now, carrying the light that changed you. The villagers gather round, their voices rising in a song of unity, each note a testament to the power of a single act of mercy. Further along, they come to a school where children play, their laughter a melody that drowns out memories of fear. A boy approaches, clutching a drawing of a star shining over a darkened land. This is what you did, he says, his voice earnest. You made the darkness cry, and now we're not afraid anymore. The girl kneels beside him, her smile mirroring his own. You're right, she says. And now it's your turn to shine, to show others that love is stronger than anything. The eldest watches, his heart full as he speaks. These children are the seeds of tomorrow, he says. What we have planted in them, faith, forgiveness, hope, will grow into a harvest that feeds the world. He turns to the group, his voice resonant with conviction. As the Lord said, unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains alone, but if it dies, it bears much fruit. Our journey is that grain, and its fruit is the change we see before us. Weeks become months, and the traveler's story spreads like wildfire, touching hearts in places they have never seen. In a distant city, a merchant gives his wealth to the poor, inspired by the tale of a darkness redeemed. I thought riches would save me, he says, but your story showed me that only love endures. In a forest clearing, a hermit prays for those who once hunted him, his voice echoing the mercy he heard in their tale. I was alone, he says, but now I know I am part of something greater. The travelers pause one evening by a lake, its surface a mirror of the heavens above. Do you ever wonder, the girl asks, how far our story will go? The youngest sits beside her, her eyes tracing the ripples on the water. As far as there are hearts to hear it, she says. For every soul that chooses forgiveness, every hand that lifts another, carries our story forward. The transformed soul nods, its voice soft yet certain. I was the proof, it says, that no heart is too far gone. If I can change, then anyone can. The eldest stands, his silhouette framed against the twilight. This is our calling, he says, to be witnesses to a truth that does not fade. As the psalmist sang, your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. That word is love, and it will guide us always. He looks to the group, their faces a mosaic of courage and grace. We are not heroes, he continues, but servants of a love that makes all things new. Let us never tire of this work, for it is the work of eternity. They share a meal under the stars, their laughter mingling with the night's gentle sounds. A villager speaks, his voice thick with emotion. When I first heard your story, he says, I thought it was a dream. But now I see it is real because we are living it. Another adds, her hands clasped in prayer, you showed us that forgiveness is not the end, but the beginning, a door to a world we can build together. The girl giggles, her voice cutting through the solemnity. And it's a world where even the scariest shadows can become friends. The seasons turn and the travelers grow older, yet their mission remains evergreen. They stand one day on a hill overlooking a valley where people gather, their voices united in a hymn of peace. Look, the youngest says, her hair now streaked with silver. This is what we fought for, not a moment, but a movement, a tide of love that will not be stopped. The girl, now a young woman, nods, her eyes bright with the same fire that lit her childhood. And we're only the beginning, she says. Others will come and they'll carry the light even further. The transformed soul, its form now indistinguishable from the others, speaks with a quiet strength. I was the darkness, it says, but you taught me I could be more. Now I see that every soul has that choice, to be more, to be light, to be love. It turns to the eldest, its voice filled with gratitude. You never gave up on me, it says. And because of you, I will never give up on others. The eldest smiles, his face lined with the wisdom of years. It was not us, he says, but the one who works through us, whose love is greater than all our failings. He raises his hands, his voice a beacon in the gathering dusk. My brothers, my sisters, my friends, he says, we have seen what love can do. We have seen it break the proud, heal the broken, and redeem the lost. Let us vow to carry this truth always, not as a burden, but as a joy. The crowd responds, their voices rising like a wave. We will carry it, they say. We will forgive, we will love, we will shine. The stars emerge, each one a reminder of the light that endures. The youngest speaks, her voice a thread connecting past and future. This is our legacy, she says, not in stone or gold, but in hearts transformed, in lives made whole. The girl-turned woman takes her hand, her smile radiant. And it's a legacy that will never end, she says, because love never ends. The transformed soul looks to the sky, its heart full. I was saved, it says, not by power, but by mercy. And I will spend my days showing others that they too can be saved. The eldest nods, his voice soft yet piercing. Then let us go, he says, and be the light that makes the darkness weep, not with sorrow, but with the joy of coming home. The valley fades behind them, but the hymn lingers in the air, a thread of grace that binds past to future. The travelers, now scattered across the lands, carry their story like a flame, passing it to those who listen with open hearts. In a distant village, a mother tells her children of the darkness that wept, her voice soft as a lullaby. Never forget, she says, that love can change even the hardest heart, just as it changed the shadow long ago. The children nod, their eyes bright with dreams of a world made new. In a city of towers, a teacher shares the tale with her students, her words weaving a vision of hope. They did not fight with swords, she says, but with forgiveness, and that was their greatest strength. A boy raises his hand, his voice curious yet bold. Can we do that too? He asks. Forgive someone who hurts us? The teacher smiles, her heart warmed by his innocence. Yes, she says, and in that choice, you will light a spark that no darkness can extinguish. Far away, in a desert where the sun burns fierce, a traveler, one of the youngest's kin, stands before a crowd. He holds no book, no relic, only the truth etched in his soul. We are all called, he says, to be the hands that lift, the voices that comfort, the hearts that forgive. An elder in the crowd nods, his face lined with years of struggle. I once hated, he admits, but your story has shown me that hatred is a chain and forgiveness is the key. The transformed soul, now a guide to others, walks through a forest where the trees seem to whisper its name. I was the storm, it says to those who follow, but love was the calm that saved me. A young woman, her eyes heavy with doubt, steps forward. How do you know it's real? She asks. How do you know this love won't fade? The transformed soul takes her hand, its voice steady as stone. Because I have felt it, it says, and it is stronger than time, deeper than death, vaster than the stars. Years pass, and the travelers' names become legends, yet their mission lives in every act of kindness, every choice for peace. In a marketplace, a merchant forgives a debt, his smile echoing the mercy he heard in their tale. I owe nothing to anger, he says, but everything to the story that taught me to let go. In a temple, a priest prays for the lost, his words shaped by the light that made darkness weep. Lord, make us vessels of your grace, he says, that we may shine where shadows linger. The girl, now a leader in her own right, stands before a gathering, her voice carrying the fire of her youth. We are not here to conquer, she says, but to heal. Not to judge, but to love. This is what they taught us, and this is what we must teach others. A man in the crowd, his hands scarred from battles past, rises. I fought for vengeance, he says, but now I fight for peace because of you. She nods, her eyes meeting his with understanding. Then fight on, she says, but let your weapon be compassion and your victory be love. The youngest, her hair now white as snow, sits by a fire, surrounded by those who seek her wisdom. They ask me how we did it, she says, her voice soft yet piercing. How we faced the shadow and lived. I tell them it was not our strength, but our surrender to a love that does not fail. A child at her feet looks up, her eyes wide with wonder. Did the darkness really cry? She asks. The youngest smiles, her hand resting on the child's head. Yes, she says, and in its tears we saw the truth that even the darkest soul longs for light. The eldest, now frail but radiant, stands one final time before a multitude, his voice a beacon across the ages. My friends, he says, we have walked through valleys and climbed mountains, faced shadows and found light. But the journey does not end with us. He pauses, his eyes sweeping over faces young and old, each one a reflection of hope. You are the bearers now, he says. Take this light, this love, this forgiveness, and carry it where we cannot go. Let it be your song, your prayer, your life. The stars burn bright above a world forever changed, their light a mirror of the truth that endures. In every corner of the earth, the story lives not as a tale of the past, but as a call to the present. A farmer shares his harvest, his heart shaped by the mercy he learned from the travelers. I give because I was given to, he says, and that is enough. A poet writes of a darkness that wept, her verse is a bridge between hearts. Let us weep together, she says, not in sorrow, but in the joy of being found. The transformed soul, now a light among lights, stands on a hill, its voice rising like the dawn. I was the shadow, it says, but love called my name, and I answered. Now I call to others that they too may answer. Those who hear it turn, their faces alight with possibility. We will answer, they say, with forgiveness, with hope, with love that never fades. And the hill glows, a beacon that draws the lost, the weary, the broken to a home they never knew they had. The girl, her life now a tapestry of service, walks through a city where peace reigns, her steps guided by the light she carried as a child. This is what they dreamed, she says, her voice steady as the earth. Not a world without darkness, but a world where darkness cannot prevail. She pauses, her eyes catching the laughter of children, the kindness of strangers, the quiet strength of those who forgive. And we are living that dream, she says, one choice, one heart, one moment at a time. The youngest, her days drawing to a close, sits beneath a tree, its branches heavy with fruit. She speaks to those gathered, her voice a whisper that carries the weight of eternity. Do not fear the shadows, she says, for they are but a canvas for the light. Love them, forgive them, and watch them change. A young man kneels beside her, his voice thick with emotion. How will we go on without you? He asks. She smiles, her hand resting on his. You will go on with love, she says, and that is all you need. The eldest, his breath now faint, looks to the sky, his heart full of a joy that knows no end. We did not change the world, he says, but we gave it a chance to change itself. And that is enough. He closes his eyes, his voice a final gift to those who listen. Go now, he says, and be the light that makes the darkness weep. Be the love that makes the heavens sing. And the world answers, not with words, but with lives transformed, with hearts united, with a light that will never fade. The world turns, and the light spreads like a river, carving paths through hearts once hardened by despair. In a hamlet by the mountains, a blacksmith forges tools instead of weapons, his hammer singing a song of peace. I heard of the shadow that wept, he says, his voice rough but warm. It taught me that my hands can build instead of break, that my heart can mend instead of curse. His neighbors nod, their faces glowing with the pride of a community reborn. Across the sea, a sailor steers his ship through storms, his compass the story of a darkness redeemed. When the waves rise, he says to his crew, I remember their courage, the travelers who faced the shadow and chose love over fear. A young deckhand listens, his eyes fixed on the horizon. Can we be like them? He asks. The sailor smiles, his hands steady on the helm. We already are, he says. Every time we choose to help, to forgive, to believe in the dawn. In a quiet meadow, the girl, now a grandmother, sits with her grandchildren, their laughter a melody of hope. Tell us again, they plead. About the light that made the darkness cry. She gathers them close, her voice a tapestry of memory and faith. It was not just light, she says, but love. A love so great it could not be contained, so gentle it could not be refused. One child, her eyes wide, asks, "Does the darkness still cry?" The grandmother smiles, her hand brushing the child's cheek. "It does," she says, "but now it cries for joy, for it knows it can be free." The transformed soul, its journey now a legend, stands before a crowd in a city of lanterns, each flame a symbol of grace. "I was the night," it says, "but you were the stars that guided me home. Now I ask you to be stars for others, to shine where hope is faint." A woman in the crowd steps forward, her voice trembling yet strong. "I was lost too," she says, "but your story showed me I could be found. I will shine, as you have shone for me." The lanterns burn brighter, their light a promise that the darkness will never prevail. The years weave a tapestry of change, each thread a life touched by the traveler's truth. In a desert village, a healer tends to the sick, her hands guided by the mercy she learned from their tale. "Pain is heavy," she says to a patient, "but love is heavier still. It can carry us through anything." The patient, his eyes weak but hopeful, whispers, "Is it true? Did the darkness really weep?" She nods, her smile a beacon in the dimness. "It wept," she says, "because it saw what we all can be, children of light, bearers of grace." In a forest temple, a monk writes the story on scrolls, his brush dancing with reverence. "This is no mere tale," he says to his students, "but a mirror for our souls. It shows us that forgiveness is not weakness, but the courage to see God in every heart." A student raises his hand, his voice eager. "What if we fail?" he asks. "What if we cannot forgive?" The monk pauses, his eyes kind as he replies, "Then try again, for as the Lord said, 'My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness.'" The youngest, her life now a quiet flame, walks through a garden where roses bloom in defiance of winter. She speaks to those who gather, her voice a whisper that shakes the earth. "We did not defeat the darkness," she says, "but invited it to dance with the light, and it danced, because love is the music that moves all things." A young woman, her face scarred by sorrow, asks, "How do we keep dancing? How do we keep the light alive?" The youngest takes her hand, her touch warm as spring. "By loving," she says, "one soul at a time, one day at a time, until the world sings with you." The eldest, his breath now a thread, stands on a cliff where the sea meets the sky, his heart one with the infinite. "My friends," he says, his voice faint yet eternal, "we have walked this earth not to conquer, but to sow seeds of mercy, seeds of hope, seeds of love." He looks to the waves, their rhythm a hymn to creation. "These seeds will grow," he says, "in hands we will never hold, in hearts we will never see. But they will grow because love does not die." The wind carries his words, a blessing that settles over the world like dew. Centuries pass, yet the story endures, carved in stone, sung in verse, lived in countless lives. In a bustling city, a judge spares a guilty man, her verdict shaped by the tale of a darkness redeemed. "Mercy is justice," she says, "for it gives us all a chance to be more than our mistakes." In a rural school, a teacher reads the story to her class, their eyes wide with wonder. "You can be the light," she says, "just like they were. You can make the darkness weep with love." The girls' descendants gather in a valley, their voices rising in a prayer that echoes their ancestors' faith. "We're your children," they say, "and we carry your light, your love, your truth." An elder among them, her face lined with wisdom, speaks softly. "They showed us," she says, "that no heart is beyond reach, no shadow beyond saving. We live to prove them right." The valley glows as if the earth itself remembers the moment when forgiveness changed everything. The transformed soul, now a spirit woven into the fabric of time, watches from a place beyond seeing. I was the darkness, it says, but love was my dawn. I am no longer a shadow, but a song that others will sing. Its voice joins a chorus of countless souls, each one touched by the traveler's gift. We sing of mercy, they say, of hope, of a light that never fades. And the stars above answer, their brilliance a testament to a truth that will never dim. The world spins on, and the light remains, gentle yet unyielding, small yet vast, a flame that burns in every heart that chooses love. A child born in a time far from the traveler's day stands in a field, her eyes fixed on the sky. I heard a story, she says, her voice clear as a bell, about a light that made the darkness cry. And I want to be that light. Her words rise, a spark that joins the eternal fire, a promise that the journey will never end. And so it goes, from heart to heart, from age to age, a light that makes the darkness weep, not with sorrow, but with the joy of being loved. The child's voice lingers in the field, a single note in a symphony that spans the ages. The stars above seem to pause, as if listening to her vow to be the light, their glow a silent amen to her courage. In every corner of the earth, the traveler's story pulses like a heartbeat, alive in those who choose love over hatred, mercy over judgment. A carpenter in a distant land lays down his tools to help a stranger, his hands guided by a tale he heard as a boy. I build not just homes, he says, but bridges of kindness, because they showed me it was possible. In a city where shadows once reigned, a woman lights a candle in a square, her voice rising above the crowd. We were told of a darkness that wept, she says, and we learned that our tears, too, can be for joy, for hope, for love. Others join her, their candles forming a sea of light that banishes the night. A man beside her, his face worn by years of regret, speaks softly. I hurt many, he says, but this story taught me to heal. I light this flame for those I wronged, to say I am sorry. The crowd murmurs in unity, their voices a prayer that carries his sorrow to the heavens. Far away, in a village cradled by mountains, a poet stands before a fire, her words weaving the traveler's truth into eternity. They faced the shadow, she says, not with anger, but with open hearts. And in that moment, they showed us who we can be. The listeners lean closer, their eyes reflecting the flames. A girl among them, no older than the one who walked with the travelers, raises her voice. I want to forgive, she says, like they did. I want to make the darkness cry with love. The poet knee evolving, her hand resting on the girl's shoulder. Then you will, she says, and your light will shine beyond these mountains, beyond this time. The transformed soul, now a presence felt rather than seen, moves through the world like a breeze, touching hearts with whispers of grace. I was the wound, it says, but you were the balm. I was the night, but you were the dawn. In a quiet chapel, a woman hears its echo as she prays, her heart heavy with loss. I hated for so long, she confesses, but your story has softened me. I choose love and I feel you here with me. The air stirs and she smiles, knowing she is not alone. Part 22, The Promise of Generations. The centuries unfold and the traveler's light becomes a constellation, each soul a star in its boundless design. In a school by the sea, a teacher tells the story to children who dream of heroes. They were not kings, she says, but ordinary souls who chose extraordinary love. You too can choose it. A boy, his hands stained with paint, holds up a picture of a glowing heart. This is for them, he says, because they made the world brighter. The teacher nods, her voice gentle as she replies, and you will make it brighter still with every kind word, every helping hand. In a desert where winds carve ancient stones, a nomad shares the tale with his tribe, their faces lit by a fire's glow. They showed us, he says, that forgiveness is not surrender, but victory, the victory of a heart that refuses to hate. An elder, her eyes clouded with age, speaks from the shadows. I saw darkness in my time, she says, but their story taught me to see light even in my enemies. The tribe falls silent, their hearts knit together by a truth that transcends the sands. The girl's legacy lives in a woman who leads her people through a time of strife, her voice steady as a rock. We are their children, she says, not by blood, but by choice. We choose to forgive, to heal, to love as they did. A soldier, his armor heavy with the weight of war, lays down his sword. I fought for vengeance, he says, but your words have shown me a better fight, for peace, for unity, for hope. She takes his hand, her eyes fierce with compassion. Then fight with us, she says, and let our battlefield be the hearts we mend, the lives we lift. The youngest spirit lingers in a garden where a healer tends to the broken, her hands gentle as a mother's touch. They taught us, she says to a man scarred by betrayal, that no wound is too deep for love to reach. He looks at her, his eyes searching for truth. Can I be forgiven? He asks. For what I've done? She smiles, her voice an echo of the youngest's wisdom. You already are, she says, the moment you seek it. Love does not count our sins, but counts us as its own. Part 23. The light never goes out. The world grows old, yet the light remains young, a fire that burns in every act of mercy, every whisper of hope. In a city reborn from ashes, a builder constructs a hall where all are welcome, his hammer echoing the traveler's faith. This is their house, he says, a place where no one is turned away, where every heart finds rest. A stranger enters, her eyes weary from wandering. Is it true? She asks. Did love really change the darkness? He nods, his hands pausing on the wood. It did, he says, and it changes us still if we let it. In a forest where the trees stand tall, a singer lifts her voice, her song a thread in the traveler's tapestry. They walked through shadows, she sings, and showed us the dawn. They faced the night and gave us the stars. The listeners weep, not for sorrow, but for the beauty of a truth that holds them close. A man among them, his heart once cold, speaks through tears. I thought I was alone. He says, but your song has shown me I am part of their story, a story of love that never ends. The transformed soul, now a light woven into the fabric of existence, speaks to a child who dreams beneath the stars. I was the storm, it says, but they were the calm. I was the wound, but they were the healing. Be their healing now, little one, and the world will sing your name. The child smiles, her heart alight with purpose. I will, she says, I'll be the light that makes the darkness cry, just like they were. And the stars shine brighter as if heaven itself rejoices in her vow. Part 24. The last words of light. The ages turn and the traveler's story becomes a cornerstone, a foundation for a world that dares to love. In every heart, their truth takes root, a truth that forgiveness is power, that mercy is strength, that love is eternal. A mother cradles her child, whispering their tale as a lullaby. They changed the darkness, she says, and you, my love, will change it too, with every smile, every kindness. The child stirs, her tiny hand reaching for the stars as if she already knows her part in the story. In a cathedral of light, a priest raises his hands, his voice a bridge between earth and heaven. We are their heirs, he says, called to carry the light that made the darkness weep. Let us carry it with joy, with courage, with love. The congregation responds, their voice is a tide of grace. We will carry it, they say, through every shadow to every soul, until all are home. The candles flare, their flames a mirror of the fire that burns within them. The youngest's echo lingers in a field where a farmer sows his seeds, his faith as deep as the earth. They showed us, he says to the wind, that love is the harvest that never fails. The girl's spirit lives in a leader who binds her people with compassion, her words a beacon for the lost. We are one, she says, because they taught us that no heart is beyond saving. The transformed soul, now a song in the hearts of all, whispers to the world, I was redeemed, and so can you be. And so, the light endures, a flame that dances through time, a truth that sings in every soul that chooses love. A child stands on a hill, her eyes fixed on the dawn, her voice small yet mighty. I am the light, she says, because they were. I am the love because they loved. I am the hope because they hoped. Her words rise, a spark that joins the eternal fire, a vow that the darkness will always weep, not with sorrow, but with the joy of being found. The stars shine on, and the world answers, its heart full of a light that will never fade, a love that will never end, a story that will never be forgotten.